So here's part 2 of our jack-o'-lantern project. So here's our picture that we drew together just now, but I went back and did it again with pencil. And we are going to be using crayons to trace this one. I have my construction color crayons handy, so we're going to be using those for this. If you don't have those, that's perfectly fine. Okay, something that I want you to be aware of. This is kind of a tricky thing to show, so I'm going to zoom in as best as I can. And let's see, focus. There we go. Okay, if we use a crayon to trace, sometimes when we color, we have a line like that. Zoom in a little bit more. You can see that there are these little white spots in between. Okay, today, when we trace, we need to kind of go back over it once or twice, or 3 or 4 times. We need to get a solid line. Do we see the difference between the two? Good. What we're trying to do here is we're going to try and make a little bit of a wall. Crayons are made out of wax. Okay, so what is going to happen is when we trace over our picture, we'll use orange for our pumpkin, and we'll be able to paint orange in our pumpkin, and it won't go outside. It won't go outside those lines. Okay, so now please be aware that some of this might be kind of tricky to see, and I'm not going to hide that pencil line. We're still going to be able to see that pencil line. It's just going to be part of the project, and that's okay. So what I'm doing is I am going through and I'm trying to make sure that I have a nice thick line. Okay. Try and stay on the lines as best as you can. Okay. If you have extra crayon, those little pieces, just make sure that you brush them off quickly because you don't want it to be a part of your project. Okay, and we're just going to go through and trace everything that we added, making sure that we're being as careful as possible to go over those lines. I'm going to switch and use the green for my stem. Now I've got 2 different greens I'm going to use in 2 different places, just kind of like last week. So there's that green for the stem. I've got this lighter green, should be a nice color, yeah, for the grass, that horizon line. Okay, for our ghosts can be any color that we want. But for me, for this, I think I'm going to pick this like kind of gray, black color to trace over the lines, just in case if we want to go dark with our sky. Because if we want to use like a purple for our sky, this will really help it stick out. See how all of a sudden that ghost looks so much different. Look at these two. See the difference in the color of the gray? You can see the little holes here just by going over it once. You're going to have to make sure that we fill those in. Can't have holes in our wall and expect our wall to work and hold that watercolor paint back. Our moon is going to be kind of interesting because I'm going to want to paint it yellow. So I'm going to use the yellow here to trace. Oop, I forgot the mouth. So next week, we're going to be working on the painting part of this. I'm going to show you a couple of different videos, okay? How we hold paintbrushes, the process of using our watercolor paintbrushes and our watercolor sets, because that's super important. Things are going to be a little bit different because you're going to be home, okay, painting, as opposed to here at school painting. But the way that we use everything will still be the same. Cool. And Bob's your uncle. We're all done. So here is our picture. We are ready to go. We're ready to paint. When you're done tracing with these crayons, please put this in a spot where the crayons aren't going to rub off. Even though crayons are made out of wax, sometimes they can move a little bit. They can smudge a little bit. We don't want that happening because that's going to hurt our project. So I'm going to tack my picture up on my wall. If you have a refrigerator, just tape it to the refrigerator. Get it up somewhere so that next week, when we're ready to paint, you'll be ready to go. Okay? Have fun. If I was going too fast, just like every other time, make sure that you're hitting the pause button. No worries. We will see you next week.